A Texas state court judge has recently issued a temporary restraining order against a former Keller Williams CEO that prevents him from joining eXp Realty in an executive role.
Shall I make us all a cup of tea?
What's crazy here, and what makes this situation even more fascinating, is just 5 days earlier, Keller Williams hired eXp's president of operations to their executive team.
Oh!
Keller Williams court findings declare that unless restrained, Willis, through his employment with eXp, will disclose Keller Williams' intellectual property, causing irreparable damage to the brokerage. Intellectual property, irreparable damage to the brokerage? I'm not so sure I really get that. And after digging deeper into this situation, it turns out that something like this at the executive level is uncharted territory. Something like this has never happened.
Your ideas are intriguing to me.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. I'm the Modern Agent and Productivity Coach, Jeff Ruby. I help real estate agents launch, build, and scale profitable businesses. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the two major differences between these industry-leading real estate brokerages. How this affects all real estate agents when it comes to how they choose to run their businesses, and how these differences are a big part and a big reason as to why there is a lawsuit between them. So basically, Keller Williams poached a high-level executive from eXp Realty and then turned around and filed a lawsuit against eXp Realty for trying to hire a former CEO who hadn't been in that role for over 8 years. KW agents, don't lose me here. I promise you, this is not a KW bashing session.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have problems.
I was an agent with Keller Williams for 6 great years. I learned a ton when I was there. I built great relationships with people, and I owe a lot of my success to what I learned there.
Don't be ridiculous. Thank you.
But I've been with eXp Realty since 2018, and now I have another perspective.
Bye, have a great time.
So everything that I'm going to share with you today comes from my personal experiences, not only as an agent, but also as a coach, as a mentor, as a university faculty member, as somebody who's been deeply involved with both of these companies. My point here in sharing that with you is that over the past almost 20 years, I've developed an intimate knowledge of these two brokerages, as well as a few others along the way.
I know everything!
One of the most important things that I've learned is that while there are many similarities between these two companies, there are also two major differences. In order to have a full understanding of what this brokerage battle is really all about, why it's happening, and what's at stake for all agents regardless of what company you're with, it's important to be aware and knowledgeable as to exactly what's going on and what these two differences are. The first major difference is that eXp Realty is an independent cloud-based brokerage. This means that all 75,000 eXp agents are all part of one virtual office. This virtual office operates online in the eXp metaverse known as eXp World. eXp Realty has no brick and mortar locations. This is really important to remember as we move forward in this story. Keller Williams, on the other hand, is a traditional franchise brick and mortar brokerage model. Most of you know this model, whether it's Keller Williams or RE/MAX, Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's, Century 21, and the list goes on. You see, most of the brokerages out there are the traditional franchise brokerage model. Each of these offices in a franchise model are independently owned and operated. For example, Keller Williams has over 1,100 offices where real estate agents commute to and from every day to go to work. The second big difference here is that both companies share money with their agents. Now you're probably wondering, well, what is the difference there if they both share money with their agents?
What?
That's what I'm going to explain to you right now. So make sure you pay very close attention to this big difference. First, it's important to understand how they are similar. Both companies pay out to their agents in relation to bringing other agents into the company and their production. I'm not going to go into the details. If you'd like more information, there's a link down below in the description box and in the comments where you can click and you can get more information. But we're not going to talk about that right now.
Not today.
What we are going to talk about is how they do this in two different ways.
I'll take two.
The simple way of explaining it is Keller Williams shares profit with their agents, where eXp Realty shares revenue with their agents. There's a very big difference between profit and revenue. Let me explain. So for example, Keller Williams offices, since they're independently owned and operated, they each have their own profit. And that is what is left over after they pay all of their expenses. All of their franchise fee, regional fees, everything that goes to the company, as well as all of the expenses that go into leasing or owning an office. Things like leases, utilities, building improvements, maintenance, and so much more. Now, whatever's left over, if any, is what profit is. And that is what's shared with the agents in that particular office.
My mind has been blown.
Now, the eXp revenue share program is simply stated as eXp is sharing the revenue. So this is the money that's coming into the company before expenses. Now remember, since there are no brick and mortar locations and there are no franchises, there are very minimal expenses that go into running a business at eXp Realty. What's really cool with this model is that eXp shares 50%, that's right, 50% of all their revenue with their agents.
Wow.
I don't want to get too much into exactly how eXp works with their revenue share. Of course, you can click the link down in the description in the comments box to find out more about that. What's most important is that you understand that there is a very big difference in how these two companies share the money that's coming into the company.
I like to make money.
So I want you to take that away, because this difference right here is the spark that's ignited in the battle that we're currently witnessing and that we're watching play out in front of our eyes.
Whoop-de-doo!
But it didn't actually start here. It started almost 40 years ago. In 1986, Gary Keller saw that a lot of agents were coming and going with Keller Williams and that the retention rate was slipping. So in an effort to offer more value to their agents, and at the request of their top producing agents, they rolled out a revenue share program where each month the individual franchise owners would pay out a particular portion of the revenue that came into the company from the real estate agent's sales in that office. So these agents were getting paid before any expenses were being paid with the brick and mortar franchise. Now, these agents were getting paid in relation to the agents they brought over to the company and those agents' production. This lasted all of 2 years, and then it was done. It was finished.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
It actually backfired, because the franchise owners were now in an agreement to pay out their agents before they had the opportunity to pay their own operating costs to run the franchise. And what they started to realize is that they were not making a profit. And in many cases, not only were they not making a profit, they were losing money. So as you can see, that didn't work out, and they simply couldn't do it any longer. So KW changed the revenue share model to what is now known as their profit share model. Franchise owners went back to retaining all of the income, paying their expenses, and then whatever, if anything, was left over, they would pay out the agents in accordance. This profit share model has worked so well that Keller Williams has become the largest real estate franchise company by agent count.
That's a lot of high numbers that mean stuff.
But something changed in 2013. And this is when eXp Realty, which was founded by former Keller Williams top agent Glenn Sanford, turned back the clock, went back to 1986, 1987, and brought back the revenue share model. Now you might say, well, it didn't work before. Why would it work now? This is where it gets really cool, because Glenn Sanford knew that the only reasons why revenue share didn't work 30 years earlier was because of two reasons.
Tell me!
The first one was the large expenses that go into running a brick and mortar business. These huge expenses were eating up a large percentage of the revenue that was coming into the business. So getting rid of the brick and mortar took care of that one problem. The other problem was that a franchise model can't support sharing revenue across an entire company because each office is independently owned and operated in a franchise model. So that can't work because the money is not uniform across the country. Some franchises are doing better than others. So why should those franchises be rewarded less than other franchises? Or why is a franchise that's doing less being rewarded with more? So it just doesn't work in a franchise model. That was problem number two. So if those were the only two problems with the revenue share model, then it should work, right?
What is it?
If those were the only two issues? Well, remember, this was in 2013. So only time would tell as to whether or not this model would work. 9 years later, the eXp Realty revenue share model not only is still around, it is thriving. It's one of the main factors that's driving industry record-breaking growth with agent count and agents joining a real estate brokerage. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly the reason why we're seeing this legal battle play out between these major real estate brokerage companies. One company tried something unique in the real estate brokerage model to provide more value to agents, and it failed miserably. It failed miserably for the franchise owners, not the agents though. They loved it. But unfortunately, it didn't work for the company, so it went away.
Oh, okay.
More than 25 years later, eXp eliminates the two problems that caused revenue share to fail and now has what many consider to be the single largest value proposition for agents in the real estate business. Look, there is still a lot more to this story, and there's still a lot more that's going to happen, and I look forward to sharing that information with you as well. And I will be doing more videos as more information becomes available, so make sure and click the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to ring the bell so when I do produce these videos, you know about them, because you're not going to want to miss how this affects you as a real estate agent moving forward into the future. And if you have any questions about eXp Realty and you want to know how you can partner with me and my team, there's a link down in the description box as well and in the comments. And lastly, let me know what you think about this whole thing going on. I want to know what your thoughts are. Once again, thank you for watching, and until next time, see ya!